let's go ahead and get started. Today's webinar is going to be about how to optimize your damage restoration website for more phone calls. If you are in the restoration space, we know what matters most is those phone calls, right? And just because you have a website doesn't mean you're going to get the phone calls. So really what I want to make sure I get the information to you. We've been in this space for over 8 years now and designed hundreds of websites in this space. This is not a selling webinar. This is not the point of this. I want to give back some information to you. And if you want to have a call with me at the end, by all means, I have some great resources that I'm going to share with you along the way here and examples on how to lay out your website to be the most successful. But just because you have a website doesn't mean that phone's going to ring. Ultimately, I want to get you in the best space to have you your long-term success. And that doesn't mean sometimes that you need to have a huge blown up website that you spend thousands of dollars on to have some fancy flyer that doesn't get you any phone calls. But a website is a critical component of all of this. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to share my screen. If there are any questions at any time during this, please feel free to put them in the chat here. I want to make sure this is interactive and I get your questions answered. If you don't have time to get the answer, I'm going to stay to the end here until all the questions are answered. And anything unique that's specific for you, I will absolutely get you the best advice I can give you on that. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to ask for one more engagement piece here. If you can tell me whether you can see that screen or not, I really appreciate that in the chat. If you can just put yes, that would be great. Perfect. Okay. All right. So again, today's about optimizing your damage restoration website for more phone calls. Let's go ahead and dive in. What are we going to cover on today's webinar? We're going to cover these following topics: 3 keys to success in 2025, how to get yourself 20 to 30 plus calls per month. And this is a comprehensive strategy about getting you to 20 to 30. Just because you have a website, that doesn't mean you're going to get 20, 30. I'm going to give you some other tidbits here that you can also help you get to that number. And if you're looking to get even higher that, there's other ways of doing that. And I've got some amazing webinars that talk about those strategies as well. So the other thing we're going to talk about is why your website matters. It's, everybody says, yeah, you got to have a website. Well, why? Why does it matter? We're going to talk about that. Page layouts, design examples, trust signals, content, video, 10 critical elements that you need in place in order to get those phone calls in place. And also we're going to develop an action plan in order to get you there. If that sounds good, if I could in the chat, just give me a 2 in the chat if that sounds good. If this agenda is something that you're gonna that works for you and you guys, okay, great. Thanks for the engagement there, Ashley. Okay, all right. And if I could, over the next 30 minutes, just give me 30 minutes of your time. I promise you're going to get some resources out of this, and it's going to help you get to where you need to be from your website side of things. And you're also going to get some additional stuff. So please just give me 30 minutes. I know it says 60 minutes there. That's just in case questions run over and whatnot, but usually it's about 30 minutes. So if you stay to the end, I'm also going to give you a free copy of a book that I wrote on the restoration industry. And this is a comprehensive book that talks about your website, SEO, pay-per-click. And really, it's not the technical things that I'm going into in detail. There is technical elements of it, but it's much simpler than that to get the phone ringing and increasing that visibility. I'm also going to give you some technical checklists that whether you can do it or you hire somebody to do it or somebody on your team to do it, that will help you. And then access to all the trainings that we've had over the last several years. You're going to get videos for all of that as well. So who am I? I don't want to spend too much time on this, but ultimately, I just want to give you a quick background here. My name is Sean McMean. I'm the founder of Vinnie Restoration Marketing. The reason why I got in this industry is I've personally been impacted from when I was a young child I was 6 years old. 2 days after my birthday, our house got struck by lightning and burned down. I've been a homeowner as well, impacted on the flood side of things, ruined our whole basement. So I've been firsthand experience of all the people that you guys help, and it's a critical component of people in an emergency. And so that's where my passion comes from, the industry. And I had the opportunity to work with a company to help restore my house about 10 years ago that is still a client of ours today. We've been in this space since 2017, and I have a wealth of information and industry experience in the marketing industry. What I realized a long time ago is that you have to become a specialist and in order to get the best results for our clients, and that's what we've done over the last years. Along with that, wrote the book, and we have a podcast on Apple and Spotify and YouTube. So all those resources are out there, and it's just my way of sharing and giving back information to an industry that I find passionate. We have helped a ton of clients, whether you're a franchise, whether you're an independent, and whether you're in the East Coast to West Coast. We have clients all over across the country. And these strategies translate all over. There's unique strategies for every area, but we have a lot of experience in the industry, and that's where this information I'm going to share with you today. I'm an open book. If you talk to our clients, I'm an open book. I will tell you everything that I know that's gonna help you, right? And I'm not here to. I think as business owners, we just want to have a clear plan of what it's going to take us to get to that next step, right? And not be pitched on something. That's not the point of this. My true goal this year in 2025 is to help 100 restoration contractors, and if I can help you just by giving some knowledge on this webinar, then that's gonna help me accomplish that goal. So digging down into the common issues we see across the industry, obviously there's tons of competition in the area, whether you're in Florida, whether you're in Maryland, or whether you're out West Coast. Tons of competition. It's expensive in this industry to get the phone to ring, and there can be up and down months. And without a proven strategy, it's really hard to level that up and down and have that stair-stepped approach on your growth. And so what I want to give you today is just the reality of the industry, is that around 10% of those companies out there are getting about 90% of the jobs, and they have this dialed in approach. Some of them have larger budgets than others, and that's how they are just able to overcome it. But it really boils down to getting yourself in a situation where you have visibility, you have a strong brand, and you have a reputation. And there's a lot of components that come into play with that. But that is the key to getting into that, getting the phone calls that the 10% of those companies are getting. This little chart here kind of shows you common things that I talk to on restoration companies all across the country. And in the bottom left-hand side here is where a lot of companies are, that no one really knows who you are. And I don't mean that to be critical. It means that when they search for your services in your area, you just don't show up, right? And this is an emergency industry. And so if you're not showing up, they're going to go on to the next person that is. And so ultimately, we want to get ourselves into a position where we become the best known company in the area. And you can do that multiple ways. But if you can get yourself to that best known side of things, then you're not just paying per lead on every single lead that can dry up or be hot and cold, and then you're just not relying on referrals. And so that's what this graph is trying to represent here. And it's a crowded, messy message that you're probably hearing out there right now. You're hearing all these terms: AI and PPC and marketing and social media, LSA or Google guaranteed. And sometimes it's very difficult to know exactly what you need to focus on to actually move that needle forward, right? I was speaking to somebody the other day on my team. Have you ever seen the movie What About Bob? And in What About Bob, there's a book called Baby Steps, right? Baby Steps. And so honestly, it's a funny movie, but it's true. You have to have one step in front, but you can't do that without a plan in order to get there. And so I'm going to try to simplify that for you today. The 3 keys to success in 2025, I'm breaking it down to 3 components: visibility, branding, and reputation. Okay. And today's strategy session, or today's webinar, is really going to be about the visibility side on the website. And so think about it. When somebody had a disaster in their home, in their business, they're either going to call a plumber, they're going to call an insurance company, or they're going to pick up that cell phone and reach out to, do a search in their specific area and try to find somebody that's going to help them. And so what we're really going to do is try to get you in a position where that Google wants to recommend your company. And in order to do that, they have to find very key elements in order to recommend your company. So how does Google know if they can recommend your company as a recommendation? Really, ultimately, what that is about is making sure that that what you say about your company and what others say about your company is connected. Okay. And that has a lot to do with your website. So when I say visibility, what I'm really talking about there is on Google showing up in search, maps, Google local services, and social media. Along with branding, you have a strong brand presence and Google trusts your brand. And then reputation is all about those people patting you on the back. Okay. So let's get to the meat of what today's session is going to be about. And really, today's is going to be about the website side of things. And so, as you can see in this graph, there is a comprehensive approach in order to get you more competition, more calls. But we're going to focus specifically on websites today. And that's how to optimize it for more phone calls. Now, as I said in the agenda, why is your website important? Not because somebody told you need to have a website, but ultimately it's a hub of your online activity. And I want to give you reasons why it's important to take advantage of some of the tips I'm going to give you today. Scenario number one here shows you that, let's say you had 500 visitors to your website, 5% of those convert. Maybe that's 25 calls per month that's coming in. And again, these are higher numbers for a lot of reasons, but let's say this is the scenario, right? And you to the right of that, if you just increase that by a 10% conversion rate, you can see at the bottom the difference in revenue impact in your company, right? And so these activities that I'm going to share with you today are going to help you convert more of those people that are landing on your website and actually get more people to get to your website to make that phone call. So it can have a direct impact on your revenue for your company. Now, as I said before, your website is your hub of your online activity. People will refer that. You have business cards. You're creating relationships with plumbers, insurance agents, property managers. People see your company name on your truck. They see you across social media and those sorts of things. And so you have to have a website. And in order, think of it as the hub. And so everything online, you have to be able to represent that within your website. Okay. Now, a website needs to be designed in a specific fashion that you can have a branded presence. It's mobile friendly. It loads fast, and it's optimized in a situation where it's geared to convert those visitors phone calls. When you go to your website, you need to make sure it's clear that these are the services you provide. This is where you provide the services, and then back it up with your expertise, along with your reputation. And so we're going to dive deeper into this right now. So on the chat, if you could, if this is making sense, go ahead and throw a 1 in there. I just want to make sure I didn't lose you. I like to go off on tangents. I geek out on all this stuff like that. So, okay, great. Thanks for the feedback, guys. So, if you have a website now, take a look at what the elements you have set up on your website and make sure you follow through this checklist of, is your logo on the top left? Is your phone on the top right? When you scroll down that page, does that phone number always stay at the top right of your phone, of your page? And make sure that is true for not only desktop, but more importantly on mobile. The emergency calls happen on mobile, right? And so that phone number has to be present all the time when you're on that mobile website. The other thing is you want to have personal images, trust icons, call to actions. So whether you do free inspections or whether you do free estimates, however you coin that phrase for your industry or for your company, make sure you have some call to actions in there, and those are called CTAs basically. You can use live chat on your website. You can take advantage of AI chat. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Um, Also include your reviews. You have a 5-star reputation on Google Maps. You absolutely need to be embedding that into your website. Okay, and along with that, have a contact form and make sure your address, your social media channels, and your Google Maps listing is embedded in this website. Again, this is kind of a graphical representation here, but this will give you a guidance as far as how you can set up that structure. Okay. Um, as far as the next most important page on your website is your service page. So a lot of times I'll see restoration companies will have a home page and then they'll have a service page. On that service page, they list every single service that they have on that page. And it's a recipe for very confusing signals to Google. Google is a computer. And so if you can clear up things for them to understand that you provide 5 different services, whether it's water, mold, fire, asbestos, roofing, remodeling, it doesn't matter. You want to have individual pages for those services. You can have a page that says these are all of our services and then link to those additional pages. On these service pages, you really need to talk about the service, not only the service, but also the area that you provide that service, common issues, why you would need that service, your process when somebody calls you from start to finish, what happens? You know, is it a 4 or 5 steps process? Include a video on that page, include real images. Stay away from stock images. If you're just starting out, I get it. You don't necessarily have a lot of images that you can share, but use real images on your website. Even if it's on your phone, turn that phone on a horizontal, not vertical, and snap some pictures of your team actually out there doing the work. Include a contact form on there and include and frequently asked questions. If you need help on what kind of frequently asked questions you should put on that page, go to Google and say, type in water damage restoration. You'll see a section on Google that says people also ask. Answer all of those questions on your website that Google's recommending there. You'll see it right below the search. It says people also ask, and just include those infrequently asked questions on your website on that service page. You can have a separate frequently asked questions page, and that's fine. But if you integrate these FAQs on the service, Google really likes to see that in order to match you to that searcher in your area. Another important aspect you can share on this is case studies or jobs that you've completed and also helpful content. So you've done a blog article about 10 reasons why people call us for restoration services, or what do I do if my basement floods? Those are all helpful pieces of content that you can include on this page. You'll notice here the header and the footer of this page are actually set up the same all the way across the website, okay? But the content in between is what's the most important to make sure you give Google all the information to understand that you're an expert, you provide this service, and you provide it in a specific area, okay? So that's service pages. Location pages. These are a critical component in any website, and it's something that is often overlooked. Okay, you have your home page, you have a service page for all the services you have, and then on those pages, you would typically mention your primary service area. So if you have a Google Maps location and your office is located in Birmingham, Alabama, you would talk about those on those primary pages. But think about how many suburbs and towns are around that area. You want to have a location page for all of those important towns that you want to get business out of. And so on that location page, you want to talk about, your company, the services you provide in that area, and videos, images, all the things that you would have on a service page or a home page, but you want to talk about specifically that town. Okay. There are more advanced technical techniques where you can put location page for multiple services. I'm not going to dive into that too much because most people I think are missing the biggest component of saying, yes, I'm located in Birmingham or Chicago, but think about how many surrounding towns and important areas you want to get jobs out of. So if you can tell Google on your website, we do services in all of those areas, it really helps clear up any mixed signals on whether Google can refer those searchers to you. Here's the thing, there's diminishing effectiveness as you go out. So let's say you're in Chicago. Think how many suburbs around Chicago. If you try to put a location page on your website that is 60 miles away or 30 miles away, that doesn't make a lot of sense to Google, because they're going to recommend somebody that's closer. So focus on your immediate 20 to 25 mile radius around you, and create these location pages that that will say this is our service area, our primary services area, and then you can add on from there. It can be very taxing to create all these pages, but start with the most important, and then you can add more each and every month. So those are layouts and general ideas on some of the most important pages you have. I did talk about trust signals, and this is something, again, that is often overlooked. In this industry, your reputation is critical. And so I've done recent webinars about how to build a reputation, and I'm going to give you those replays at the end of this webinar here. But you have to have these trust signals on your website, because think about it. If you go, just put another example out there. If you go out to Amazon and you go out and purchase a product, how many products are you purchasing that don't have a 5-star or close to 5-star rating, or they have 0, right? And so if you land on somebody's website and you see trust signals like what you're seeing here, that they have 108 reviews, 4.9 rating, or so on, this just gives you so much more credibility that I'm going to get help when I actually call this person. Right. And I call it the Amazon effect. Amazon started this whole thing, and it's trickled all across the internet. But you have to have these signals on your website to help convert these people. People don't read things, but they see the stars and they're like, boom, this looks like a trustworthy company. I'm going to call them. And if you answer that, you're more likely to get that job. Here's the other thing on your trust signals. Have your certifications out there. If you're BBB certified, any sort of awards, those are important in order to establish that trust and comfortability that they're going to get their problem solved when they call you. Okay. So any questions on trust signals, or any questions in general so far that we've gotten into, feel free to add those into the chat. I know it's a lot of just me talking here, but hopefully you guys are getting some value out of this. Let's move on to some additional technology that you can implement in your website that I think this is something a lot of our clients get a lot of value out of. Most of us probably have a form on their website, and you could be getting spammed with a lot of form submissions. And so make sure you use what's called CAPTCHA on these forms. What we do is we use a specialized technology called form to call automation. So when somebody fills out a form here on your website, we have spam blockers in place. Not all of them get blocked, but a vast majority of them. And what happens if somebody selects water damage, or a specific service, puts their name, John, I've got a flooded basement, I'm looking for quotes, those sorts of things. What our technology does is within 15 to 30 seconds, it's going to call your main number and read back to you this full message here, and you can press 1 to call directly out to them. So no longer do you have to wait, hours to pick up the email, or somebody missed the email, and you're talking with this person within 30 seconds after they submitted the form. And it just alleviates that gap in time. This is a great technology that we use for our clients and have a lot of success with it. So if you do have any questions on that, feel free to reach out to us. But it's utilizing technology to take away the manual effort of these sorts of things. Another component that if you've, are scouring online and you see all these marketing things getting thrown at you, is chat on your website. There is some advances in AI chat and live chat. You don't necessarily have to have somebody sitting on their phone 24/7 waiting for somebody to submit a chat. What we can utilize is live chat in order to feed information about your services. So if somebody has a general question, what do I do if there's a burst pipe in my home or my pipes got frozen? It's going to give them some information on that chat, and then say, is this an emergency? and give them the phone number to call, or they can submit their contact information in order to contact you directly. It's going to call your office and you can connect with them on the phone versus sitting there waiting for the live chat. So there's a lot of advances in the AI field that will help give trust, give information, and then help convert that to an actual phone call. So again, if you have any questions about that, feel free to put them in the chat, and we can answer those questions there. But it's a great tool because people communicate in different mechanisms. Sometimes people don't want to pick up the phone; they want to text, they want to fill out a form. So you have to meet them where they're at in the specific situation. Here's an example of a website here that has some of the elements that I had talked about. It's got the trust signals. It talks about where specifically what services they have, where they actually help. And then when you go on the mobile side, it makes it easy for you to contact, gives you those trust signals, and it's personable. It has the owner's face on there, right? Just an example. Here's another example. Talks about all the services they have. They've got trust badges. They're veteran owned, mobile. Here it's geared towards mobile traffic, and again makes it easy for them how they need to contact them. Another example would be something like this. This is where it really calls out that phone number and says, if you have an emergency, call this number, not only on mobile, but on desktop as well. And so these are some examples, depending on your color schemes and all that stuff like that. That's all subjectivity to your branding elements and everything. But the point of all of this is to make it easy for them to contact you, because you never know what's going to catch their eye when they visit your website or what page they're going to land on. Okay. Another important aspect on any website is content. So we talked about homepage, services page, location pages, but really what you have to focus on in that second phase is providing helpful content, case studies or job examples of work that you've done in specific areas. You need to have the FAQs. You need to do all of those sorts of things. And a lot of this can be called SEO or search engine optimization. But really the point of all of this is that, let's say you're standing on a rooftop and you're shouting from a megaphone saying, hey, we do water damage restoration services. And somebody yells back, that's great, and there's crickets then, right? Well, if you can think about content as providing helpful reasons of why people would contact you, and then sharing that expertise, so that when somebody does search for that problem, Google can see, yes, this company's located in Atlanta, Georgia. They talked about common reasons why you would have, flood issues in your home, or a hurricane came through there. All of the topics all over the place that you can cover. But this shares with Google that you have the expertise to solve problems for people. And the number one goal, again, of Google is to people come to Google with problems. It's a solution engine. And of course, it's $1 billion company, but they're really good at figuring out who's going to solve that problem for the solution, for the searcher, right? And so if you can make it easy for Google to understand that you have the expertise, they're going to start recommending your company. And those are all important elements that you want to have on your website. Videos. Videos are a critical component as well, because you're utilizing YouTube platform. You embed those videos on your service pages, your blog posts, your case studies. And what these will do is help keep those pages live on the internet. And then, visitors will actually watch these more so than they would reading a piece of content. So Google loves the fact if you do a YouTube video about, these different topic matters, on your website, and then you embed it in there, they love to improve the visibility of that page if you're utilizing their properties. So use videos for case studies, testimonials, videos around the office. Another great example is, if you're the owner or your team, do a video about why you have passion for the industry, or do a video about why your team matters. Again, the average homeowner in an emergency, they're not going to watch those videos, but Google uses those videos to establish that brand presence and that trust for everything else that you're doing. I'll tell you this though, if you just do 1 or 2 videos, that's not going to make your phone ring. It's a combination of all of this together. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So we're coming to the section now where I'm going to go over 10 critical components. But before we do that, what's one thing that that somebody got out of the information that I've shared so far? Something about your website, the content, the layout pages. What if you could in the chat share with me one thing that that you think you could implement within your website, or changes within your website to improve where you're at right now. I'd love for you to put that in the chat if you would. Before we get into the checklist, more content updating. Yeah, thanks, Ashley. Anybody else? I know we've got several people on here, so I'd love to hear 1 or 2 other things out there. Need to move the phone number higher up on the page. Real imaging rather than stock. Yep. Adding more videos. Yeah, all of those things are important. Again, baby steps, right? You don't need to drop everything and do this immediately, but we're going to talk about next the creating an action plan. All right. This document here is very wordy, so feel free to you need a new website. Okay, Charles, that's definitely something that we can talk about if you want, or you can rewatch this and look at different elements of how to design that too yourself if you wanted. So this is very wordy, but you can take a screenshot of it, or there's going to be a replay here. These are some of the critical components that you want to make sure is on your website, or whether you hire somebody to do your website, that you want to speak to your target avatar, right? What are their fears, frustrations, and why should they choose you? Be real. Use authentic photos of your team throughout the website. No one likes to see the same photo all over the place of somebody or fake images. It's so easy. You don't have to go out and hire a professional photographer to do this. It's so easy just to use your phone, your iPhone, your Android, to take a picture of you in front of your truck, in front of your equipment, in front of the business, or out on the job site. Use those photos and block a day to take those photos instead of trying to spread it out over months. If you just do it all at once in 3 or 4 or 5 hours, you're going to have plenty of photos to update on your website there. The next thing is making sure you're using video and multimedia content on your website. So I have a welcome video on your website. One of our clients, Prime Restoration, has an amazing welcome video they have professionally done, and it looks and sounds great. It gets lots of views, and really improves the ranking of their homepage. Do videos for each one of your services. This is something we do for all of our clients. So a video about water, mold, fire, reconstruction, asbestos, it doesn't matter what the service is. Embed those onto the service pages. A video explaining about why someone should contact you versus your competition. Those are all great examples of videos that you can start with. Leverage social media proof, so your reviews are critical, not only on your Google Maps, but embedding those reviews on your social media. Again, I do have a very in-depth video about reputation and how to grow that reputation, the most effective ways. I'll share that with you after this as well. The basics matter. The phone number that is on your website should match what's on your Google Maps location. And making sure that phone number shows up all over the place on your website. And there's not, I mean, sure, you could go over and put it at every single spot, but you really want to make sure it's at the top right as you scroll down that page, or whether it's at the bottom on mobile and is constant across the bottom is that works too. Make sure you have website contact forms on there. Add credibility with any of your certifications, whether it's IICRC, Better Business, all of those sorts of things, so that people have the idea that they can trust you when they're actually picking up that phone and calling. Ensure that you have clear call to actions. Do you actually do free inspections, estimates, those sorts of things? Make sure you have that on there. And then optimize the website for mobile. I would have one of the top things on my list after ending this call today is pulling up your website on a mobile phone, and are you happy with where it's at? If you're not, then contact somebody to help you with that, because the true emergencies happen on the mobile phone. Everybody likes to focus on the desktop and making it look pretty, but The emergency 24/7 calls do not happen usually on the website. Okay. Ashley, what if I have different numbers on the site posted for tracking to track locations of where the calls are coming from? As long as those tracking numbers are secondary numbers on your Google Maps location, Ashley, you can have as many secondary numbers on that Google Maps location. Google will correlate those numbers together. So tracking numbers are a little bit different. And just for other people, what a tracking number allows you to do is determine whether whether a phone call is coming from your website or paid ads or some social media platform. And so you can have tracking numbers, but just make sure there's secondary numbers on your Google Maps location, and that you won't have a problem with that. Awesome, Ashley. Ensure that you so we already talked about clear to actions, mobile optimize, leverage AI and live chat. This is something that a number of our clients are testing right now, and we're testing as well. There's even AI for answering phone calls that have been testing as well. We haven't rolled it out to any of our clients yet because it's not 100% there. I'd rather our clients be answering the phone calls as a person right now, because an emergency it's expensive to generate those jobs, and they can be very, very lucrative, right? But you can leverage AI and live chat on your website and have some success with that. Optimize your website, because speed does matter, especially on loading on your phone. A great test for you is disable your Wi-Fi, pull up your website on your phone. Does it load quickly? That first half of the page, does it load quickly? If it doesn't, you have some speed optimizations you need to do there, and you can certainly hire somebody to do that. You can contact a company like us, or you can go out to a site like Upwork and hire somebody as a part-time project for something like that. The next thing is in using SMS and phone number automation. So I talked about before about forms. When somebody fills out a form, it's going to automatically call your number, and you can press 1 to connect to them. When somebody fills out a form on your website, send them a text message, send them an email. All those automations will help, improve the chance of converting and gaining trust with that person that is reaching out to you. Okay. So what I'd love for you to do right now, let's take 2 minutes here. We're just about over with the webinar, but let's take 2 minutes here of writing down either on a piece of paper or a sticky note. What are 3 things you could do right now for your website, or maybe even longer term? Maybe you need to redesign your website. But what are 3 things that you can do right now? Do you have reviews on your website? Do you have your certifications on your website? Do you have service pages for each one of your services that you're providing? Do you have locations pages for all the major locations around your company? Do you have an About Us page that has your actual photo on there and maybe a video of you talking about your passion for the industry? Those are all things that you can accomplish over the next couple months that will help you strengthen that website and give you a chance against some of these very, very large companies out there that have real strong brand signals. And that's really what we have to do is be able to compete on a level playing field. So if there's 3 things that you have, go ahead and put them on your paper or sheet of paper. I'd love for you to do that. And then finally, who's going to help you with those? Do you already have a website person? Can you reach out to them and say, hey, we need to add this page? Put a name or somebody on your team. If you want to have a call with me to discuss it beforehand, or if you want to work with us, obviously I would love that. But again, this is not a pitch thing here. Put somebody's name to there so you can help somebody else hold you accountable getting these 3 things done. I never like to start a list with 10 things. I always like to start with 3. So as a business owner myself, I want to make sure that I can focus on them, and then I can have somebody that can either help me or hold me accountable to get those things done. So if you had a chance to put that on a list, go ahead and write a 1 in the chat there for me. I'd love for that. Again, I want to have you get some action items out of this that you can really take forward. And if you need additional guidance on those things, you can always message us or schedule a call with us as well. Okay, great. Thanks for that feedback there. And I always love this quote here: take action, never put off until tomorrow what you can do today. It is so true. All of us have only so much time in the day, and you have so much things on your plate that you have to take action. Those people that take action move things forward. Okay. So don't put off tomorrow what you can do today. Whether it's today means tomorrow or a couple days from now, it shouldn't mean 6 months from now. If it's 3 items, you should be able to accomplish those things in the next couple of weeks. Okay. Um, as far as the 3 keys to success, I told you about visibility, branding, and reputation. I'm going to share with you exactly other elements of the visibility, branding, and reputation. We're right at time here. So what I'm going to do is show you an example of when you get these things dialed in, you get yourself into a position where you're getting 20 to 30 opportunities per month. This is an example of a client that started working with us within 3 months. This is their visibility. These are GPS coordinates around their area, and they have a fighting chance now to get the phone calls for water damage restoration, right? And so that's what this grid represents here. So by getting those 3 components dialed in, you get yourself at the on a level playing field. You get the opportunity for the phone calls. And here's another example of a client that we've worked with. They started with a little bit stronger, and you can see their 1s, 2s, 3s, and some 4s in different areas. Anything above 1s, 2s, and 3s and 4s, you're not getting recommended by Google. And so if you would like to schedule a call, what would it mean for you to have the ability to get 20 to 30 more phone calls for your business? If that's the case and you would like the opportunity to either dive specifically more into your situation, feel free to schedule a call with me, and I would love to chat with you. You can go to restorationmarketing.com/calendar, or you can call me at this number, 314-582-5210. As I promised you, I'm going to give you a free copy of the book, those checklists, and all of the videos that we've done over the last year are going to be on this website here. I'm going to put that in the chat. So if you go to restorationmarketing.com, restorationmarketing.com/2025, there will be a replay to this video. There'll be you'll be able to download all of these resources and watch all of these videos as well. And ultimately, if you do want to schedule a session, you can certainly schedule that on my calendar by going to that page or going to restorationmarketing.com/calendar. So that is the meat of the presentation today. I'm going to stop sharing my video here. And I would love to take any questions that you might have about your specific situation or your scenario. I know, Charles, you had mentioned that you're looking to design a website. Do you have one now, or what's your scenario there? Do you need any guidance there?
Yes, sir. I don't have a website right now, so I need to get it started from the beginning. So I don't have anybody in mind, so I'd like to talk to you more about that.
Yeah, definitely. If you go to that link it's added there in the chat, or if you go to restorationmarketing.com/calendar,
Yes.
you can definitely book a 30-minute call with me, and I'll show you some example websites we've built, and whether you do it yourself or whether it's working with us, we can definitely chat about that.
Actually, I set up a meeting with you next week, early next week, so
Okay,
we can talk a little bit more. Yeah, I did that earlier today
awesome. Where are you located at?
in Washington D.C. area,
Washington.
Maryland, D.C.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys get hit with some snow last night then.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Okay, yeah, looking forward to chatting with you next week, man. We can go
Okay.
over that then.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Ashley, did you have any other questions? Christine? If you do, go ahead and add them in the chat.
I didn't have any questions. I really thought the information was very helpful. We actually had a website that was built by a hosting company, and part of the contract that was originally agreed with the previous office manager, it didn't it wasn't confirmed that content and everything wasn't included in that contract. And
Yeah.
so when I got brought on, I actually had to build the website myself. And it's not the best because I'm not a huge marketing major, but I'm definitely going to take some of this information and I can provide revisions to the hosting company to implement in our website.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah. It's you know, that homepage is the most critical component of it. So you know, take those tips I had there and then those additional service pages. If the content is light on those pages, meaning there's only a couple paragraphs, definitely add what's your process, what's your frequently asked questions, like what are the 10 reasons why you get phone calls in your area. If you what part of the country you guys in?
We're in Arizona.
In Arizona, right? So a little bit more dry, right? You don't necessarily have a
Yeah.
lot of basements there. You got slab, you got typhoons, heavy rain situations when they come in, and then obviously broken and burst pipes and those sorts of situation. Air conditioning, condensation around mold. Cover all those type of topics on your content, and you're just going to have more relevancy in Google's eyes.
That's some good insight. Thank you.
Yep. And then if you're in Arizona, like if you're in Phoenix or one of those areas, put those location pages up around you and it helps expand that proximity around your office.
Yes, we did build 3 landing pages for 3 of the major cities.
Okay, great, great. And you talked about on those landing pages all the services you provide there?
Yes, yeah.
Nice, good. One extra step that you could do is if you've done jobs in those areas, turn those into, we call them case studies, but turn them into a blog piece of content that says, you know, hey, a homeowner called us about a specific issue in this area. Create a blog piece of content on that, share it across your social media, and then link to that location page off of that blog content. So it helps. You can think of it as like a house on stilts, like that location page is one of those stilts, and you're just adding more support to that location page.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ashley, for joining. Anybody else have any other questions before we end today's session? All right. So again, if you go to restorationmarketing.com/2025, feel free to download those resources, a copy of the book, checklist for your website, checklist for SEO, all of those sorts of things. Go to restorationmarketing.com/2025. And it was great having you guys on the session today. And yes, you're very welcome, Abby and Ashley and Charles. And feel free to reach out to us if you have any additional questions. So have a great rest of your day.